joining us right now to talk about this and more, the problems being faced by the Coptic Christians in Egypt, is Hal Meawad. He's director, co-founder, board member of Coptic Solidarity. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, Steve. Thank you for having me on.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's also so important. And I got to tell you, I am so ashamed of our administration for not doing what Robert George's letter implores the president to do. It notes in the letter that, yeah, he spoke out at one point, you know, he paid lip service basically to the situation. But, you know, we're focused here on the situation in Egypt, but we know what's going on all over the Middle East and parts of Africa, and specifically in you know, parts of Egypt where and Syria, where they're saying the Muslims take over towns and say either you convert or we behead you. I mean, this is intolerable. And if it were the other way around, I know that this president and our State Department would be condemning it every single day, but they're silent.
Well, you know, it's even worse than that, Steve. The Obama administration actively supported the Muslim Brotherhood takeover in Egypt. And they also exercise and put, you know, lots of pressure after he has been ousted by the first, you know, the popular move. Morsi was voted in by 14 millions, and he was voted out by 32 millions. And yet, you know, Mr. Obama and his administration insisted that he is, you know, the legitimate president of the country, and his oust was a military coup. You know, it was not a military coup. You know, this is maybe, you know, the first in history that, you know, a popular revolt, it was an actual revolution against, you know, the sitting president to remove him from the office. That happened, you know, so many times, you know, in history before. To stop the bloodshed, the military interfered to just carry out the popular vote and the popular will. So to call this, you know, a military coup is absolutely incorrect. To try to force, you know, the country to reinstate a hated, incompetent, and fanatic president and administration in Egypt, this is also wrong. It's not correct. It's not right.
Why do you think the president doesn't speak out more? I mean, the president is a Christian, and here we have Christians, excuse me, being attacked, slaughtered, churches being burned. What could be more horrific?
Well, you know, of course, you know, I cannot, you know, accuse, you know, Mr. Obama of not being, you know, a Christian or not being, but you know, I don't believe, you know, that he is of the, you know, of the, he has, you know, the strong faith, you know, to support, you know, his co-religionists.
But you know what? But let me interrupt, Hal. I'm Jewish. I'm sure any decent Americans out there, if they knew about all this, would abhor what's going on. I mean, I don't think you have to be a devout Christian to want to stop this. And here he is, the president of the United States, and, you know, we don't hear anything from this administration.
Well, you are absolutely right. You know, I cannot disagree with your statement. All it takes is to be, you know, an intelligent and, you know, human being. You know, you don't have, you know, to be Christian. As a matter of fact, you know, some, you know, I'm sure you heard of, you know, what happened in the village of Delga today.
You'll have to fill me in on what happened today. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, this is a village, you know, in the south.
Is this where they instituted the tax or no?
Exactly.
Yes,
it is. Yes. Why, you know, the tax, you know, let's explain that. You know, it's the jizya.
The jizya, which is when Muslims take over, as they have in this town in Egypt, a Christian village. They if they don't convert to Islam, they make them pay a tax. It's kind of a conquering tax.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is outrageous.
Of course it is. Yes.
Now
But,
go ahead.
Yeah, this village has been taken over by the Islamists. It has been 60 days. Now, and of course, everybody was screaming, that, and so many people, they just left, their business, their jobs, their homes, and they fled, from the village. And today, after 60 days and after millions of screams, the security forces, supported by units of the army, they entered the village and they arrested, the leaders of the Islamists. So took over the.
It took 60 days, but it got done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's way too long. We're talking to Hal Meawad. He's co-founder, board member, and spokesman for Coptic Solidarity. Here on the Steve Malzberg Show, there was a congressional delegation that went to Egypt about a week ago, and our friend Louis Gohmert was on it, Michelle Bachmann, and a few others. Tell us what that accomplished.
Well, what accomplishes, this mission, or this commission, or that group was really badly needed, to come back, and educate their
fellow
colleagues,
Congress people.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly what happened in so somebody, I have been, I'm really, really disappointed, with Mr. McCain, okay, and also Mr. Graham. What they said, also they describing, what happened, the oust of Morsi as a military coup, and they are demanding, to cut off the foreign aid, to Egypt, and calling, for the government, to put, all the pressure it could on the institution in Egypt so they can reinstate, Morsi again.
I know it's like they're an extension of Obama's personal policy. I don't understand that at all. I don't understand it at all.
Exactly. Here you go. Yes.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
That group of the three Congress people went to, and they came back, with the truth. They came back, they had to study it, It was a field trip that was needed to see, things, for themselves. And they saw, the facts. And of course, in their press conference, before they left the country, they announced that this was not a military coup. The military just interfered to stop the bloodshed. If the military has not interfered in and asked, Morsi to leave, and actually he has been arrested because, he's a criminal with a record. One of his last crimes was, breaking, out, from jail. Okay. Of course, he was not convicted yet, but to escape from jail in itself and by itself is a crime. So, those people, the three Congress people, knew and they saw the facts, and they made, the announcement that no, this has not been, a military coup.
Right.
This was, an actual revolution, a second revolution to correct the first one that has been hijacked.
Well, let me ask you finally, Hal, what's your support been like? I mean, in this country, where do you see the situation in Egypt going? The people, the congressmen and women who went on that trip, they're obviously going to hopefully get the word back to the rest of their colleagues, as you alluded to. But where do you see U.S. policy going, and where do you see the problem of the persecution of Christians? Let's stick to Egypt for now. Where do you see that going?
Well, you're talking about, the unpredictable region of the world, the Middle East. Okay. I don't know, as it is going, now, there has been, strides, to the, like, what happened today and taking over, the security forces, reinforcing, the laws and taking over, the village. But this is a positive, very positive step in the right direction. But I really don't know, Steve, whether things, will move in that direction, or, they could reverse, back, anytime.
Right. Well,
Okay, I have, but,
Hal, all I could say is, we'll stay on top of this because this is just as outrageous as anything that's going on in the world. And it's going on all over. It's not isolated in Egypt with the Copts, as you well know. It's going on now in Syria. It's been going on throughout the Muslim world and throughout parts of Africa where churches are burned, villages are burned, Christians are killed with the threat of conversion or death. And this is taking place in 2014, and nobody says anything about it. But yet we're all in a tizzy because Assad in a civil war took some actions which were horrific. But what's more in our national interest, acting on that or acting to protect Christians worldwide, or at least denouncing Christian persecution worldwide? It just doesn't seem to make any sense to me. I thank you for your time, and we'll talk to you again, sir.
Sure. It's my pleasure, Steve. Thank you so much. And God bless you.
You too, sir. Hal.